12 Feet After Midnight. I'm Steve.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to talk about comics, specifically DC, and how much they suck ass. No, that's not true. That's not true.
No.
Just a little bit.
Their comics are good.
They're comics. They're good. They're good. They have okay comics.
They got pretty good comics.
They're okay. But actually, we're going to talk Marvel, too, because Mike's been keeping up on the old man Logan insanity, cross timelines, chopped off hands, addicted to smack, apparently. That's what it seems like.
I mean, he's all over the place.
It's bad.
Same thing with well, I've also followed Infinity Countdown all the way through, and then that led into Infinity Wars, which is going on right now.
It's just crazy. It's like
Marvel's crazy right now.
well, they're rehashing that again, though. I mean,
They're rehashing it, but it's drastically different. Drastically different. Like when they did Civil War 1 and then they came back and did Civil War 2, it was basically the same thing, just worse. Like a lot worse.
Yeah. I read it. It was like garbage.
It was just painful.
Garbage.
It was like they took the same premise, the heroes are divided because some stupid shit happened.
Yeah.
And then they just made it really bad with like 500 tie-ins, and there's no way you're gonna spend all of that time trying to read all of these just to get this shitty story.
And it became pretty obvious that it was simply a cash grab. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that's why they made
it was an event for event's sake. And
Exactly.
It was just bad.
And the writing suffered pretty bad.
Badly.
DC. I try to keep up on DC every now and then, but I'm more a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
But just in general, like that DC's rebirth is like, isn't this the third time they've rebooted that whole universe?
Well, there was the original shit from the Golden Age.
Yeah.
They bled into the Silver Age. Didn't really change the timeline. They just changed the characters up. Bled into the 90s with like a lot of really okay comics.
Death of Superman, all that shit.
Death of Superman kind of fucked people up.
Yeah.
But then you bled into the first kind of reset for everything, which was New 52. So that's the second universe.
Yeah.
And then some crazy shit happened again, and now they're on Rebirth, which is the third reset.
And the Rebirth is the one that includes the Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan in the background pulling the strings, right?
Yes. It's really weird though, because Doomsday Clock is going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's a really it's like the 12 issue series, but they're taking their sweet ass time with every issue because they want to do it perfect. And it's the first one where Batman and like Superman and Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach and the comedian and all these people are in the same world.
Yeah, because he met Rorschach.
He met Rorschach and he straight jailed him at Arkham Asylum.
He did.
Like,
He let him. They were breaking into Arkham, and then he locked him in a cell.
Yeah, totally tricked him. He got out, but
well, of course he did. He's Rorschach.
Right. But that was the first time they showed that. But they also had that thing in the Batman Flash crossover Rebirth.
Yeah, where Dr. Manhattan killed
Reverse Flash. Yeah, totally murdered him. It was sweet. So it's like he's there, but he's not there. It's really strange. They're not explaining if Doomsday Clock is happening in the Rebirth universe.
Yeah.
Or like the main like Earth of Rebirth.
Yeah. Unlike Marvel,
or if it's a side Earth.
unlike Marvel, you can't just say Earth 616. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Is
Well,
it
like-
Earth Prime or
Yeah,
2
because
or 3?
there's 52 multiverses.
Yeah.
Or is it 52 multiverses? Is that the term? I think it's like 52 different Earths is what it is, or some shit like that. So there's 52 possible, 52 possible universes going on, different timelines, shit like that. And you just really can't tell sometimes whether one is happening for real or if it's like in a side universe you shouldn't really get too wrapped up in.
Yeah.
Because like Red Sun is a really good story.
It
But
was
it's
interesting.
but it's a side universe. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be like all in on the Red Sun
Yeah.
story. Injustice is a side story, but it encapsulates the entire multiverse. It's all about tying together multiverses because
Yeah.
of the whole shit with Superman like punching through the Joker and shit,
Yeah.
like becoming evil. That fucked up a lot of shit.
Oh, it did big time. I mean, I'm still reading that Injustice 2 comic.
It's not bad.
It's gone off on tangents. Though.
It's
I mean,
wild.
There's like 4 or 5 issues of just Green Lanterns versus Starro,
Uh-huh.
and Starro had a red. What was it?
The Red Lantern ring?
Red Lantern ring, and then had taken over one of the female guardians of Oa. So all of a sudden, these massive powers are like at play, and Kyle Rayner obviously is dead.
Yeah.
John is, he's dead.
Yeah.
So you've got the original Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, who was imprisoned, and then he wound up getting free and helping them. So he got a ring, and he led the Lanterns and defeated everybody. But he's still nuts. He's seeing images of, oh god, who did he kill? He chopped his arm off with his
Oh.
powers. It was the other Green Lantern that everybody hated. It's a real stupid, annoying one.
Damn it.
We didn't even like him. That's why nobody likes him.
I don't even remember.
Guy Gardner. So because he used
He's
it,
trash.
yeah, well, he killed it. He chopped the arm off that had the ring on it. So obviously, Guy Gardner had no ring anymore, and he died. He actually fell to Earth and died, transforming as he did back into his non-Green Lantern
Right,
suit,
his regular form.
which was a fucking Hawaiian shirt, flip flops, and jam shorts.
Fell to his fucking death. That's
Wearing that, you
crazy.
die in that, you deserved everything that happened.
Right. If you were wearing that when you put the ring on, don't come to work.
What else happened? Yeah, so like I mean,
Lobo shit.
God, Lobo got a hold of a ring, and he fought Atrocious and beat Atrocious with a gigantic dong.
Just a big
It
donger.
was a huge green penis smashing through Atrocious's shield and knocking him out. That's pretty fucking funny,
It's so in his character to do something like that too.
I love it.
That's so
It was
funny.
so funny. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, the New 52 stuff. I don't hate it. That it ended. I'd read the stuff, and some of it didn't make sense because they, like with the Marvel Universe, like I follow a lot of the comics.
Yeah.
But with DC, not so much. And so my problem was like, I'd pick up an issue, and I would have no idea what was going on.
It's easy to lose track.
Oh, big time.
Really
And
easy.
so I picked up, and I read the trade paperback of The Death of Superman, where he's slowly dying of kryptonite poisoning, and like 2 or 3 other poisonings or whatever that happened fighting bad guys, and like his powers basically are fading, and so I'm not going to recap the whole story, but he winds up dying, and there when he dies is the original Superman from the 1980s and 90s. So the gist of it is that the old Superman, the one readers from the 80s and 90s knew, who died fighting Doomsday, returned, married Lois Lane. He was actually removed from the time stream before the New 52 continuity was even born, through Barry Allen's meddling. So because he was out of the time stream, when Barry Allen screwed around and created the New 52 universe,
Yeah.
that Superman was untouched.
Right. He's
And
just
his
floating
wife.
around in the time stream.
Him, his wife, and his son. So he got dropped back into the multiverse, or into the universe. The New 52 Superman was already making a name for himself, and so, like he was a lot younger, and it wouldn't have made sense for them to introduce themselves. So basically, old Clark and Lois decided it was best, to keep the shadows. When I say old, I mean he's like 40.
Right.
He's
For
not,
Superman,
Yeah, he's not.
old.
Yeah, he's not like 80 years old. So he kept tabs on the newer, young New 52 Superman, and even going so far as like they were fighting Darkseid at some point apparently in the comics, and he put his suit on and was watching the news and waiting to see if he was needed. But he wasn't, so he took the suit off and went back to being a farmer or whatever, and. So basically, when the New 52 Superman died, who he turned to dust, by the way, like that was a permanent fucking,
Right,
that's
done.
an exclamation point right there. He didn't just die and maybe be resurrected later. He fucking turned to dust.
Just done.
His ass is dead.
He got snapped.
He was saying, the world still needs a hero, and old Superman agreed,
Yeah.
So at the end, like he's exposed at that point. He's standing there wearing a Superman suit. But it's all black with the silver S, and he's got a beard and slightly grayish black hair, and it's just mostly black with a few grays here and there. And Batman and Wonder Woman are staring at him. They're like, "Holy shit!" And like Batman's like, "I have a lot of questions," and old Superman's like, "I've got answers, but not right now. Now I have to check on my family." And he flies off. And it's interesting because at this point, with Rebirth #1, they reintroduced Superman, and it's that Superman, the one that existed. So the Superman that we knew in the 1980s and 90s who fought Doomsday and died in the death of Superman, who went through all that shit, is the one that exists now in the primary DC universe.
Right.
New 52 Superman, all that shit, gone. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But Batman and the Wonder Woman that exist in the Prime Universe now are the ones from New 52.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
So it's like there's different Supermen
Yes.
right now in the same universe?
Well, no, there's only one now.
Oh, okay. So
Because the other one, New 52, died.
All right, so we're down to the pre-New 52 one in the Prime.
Yeah.
And the New 52 one is just done.
Exactly. He's done. He's dead. Like, he's not coming back. Because what happened was, like, Lana Lang has powers in this universe, which makes no sense to me, but whatever. Because I didn't follow that series, So Lana Lang basically goes to collect Clark's remains, the dust, or she's trying to anyway, because he turned to fucking dust. And old Superman shows up to do the same thing, not realizing she was going to do it. He says, well, when I died, in my universe, there was a machine that basically helped reconstitute me, replenish me of energy, as after Doomsday died.
Yeah.
Or after Doomsday killed him. And, basically brought him back to life.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. It was created specifically to do that. It made no sense. It was
Right.
a comic trope,
Right.
And,
Like, wow, plot device that does exactly what we need to happen.
Exactly.
How
And then,
convenient.
So, and this is the weird thing, so they take Superman's remains to the Fortress of Solitude, and they find out that device doesn't exist in this reality. So, no joke. No done. He's done.
He's done.
Officially done. And then you've got a comic that happens a little bit later with Mr. Mxyzptlk, stealing John, Superman's son, and then, trying to make Superman forget, Lois and Superman forget that they have a son. So it's all about memories and forgetting. Because he came back, he was out of that dimension when New 52 ended or all that shit happened or whatever, and he got taken away by some cosmic entity and locked in a prison.
Right.
And he was like, well, Superman, come looking for me, we're pals. And Superman never came.
Never showed.
Like years went by, and Superman never showed. So Mxyzptlk went nuts in this prison cell. He's carving on the walls images of Superman saying, help me, Superman, help me. Over and over, really, really all work and no play, makes Jack and Dull Boy shit. Just nuts. And he finally breaks out, and he goes and kidnaps Superman's son. He shows up, and he doesn't, Superman recognizes him because he met Mxyzptlk in the 80s.
Right.
He knows who he is. But Mxyzptlk is pissed, and he's crazy now. So all this shit happens, but basically the energy that made up there was something that happened with Superman 52 where some of his energy got split off and hit Lois, and then eventually she lost that energy or whatever, and then so there's these two energy not life forms, just energy composites of Lois and Superman that merge with the new present Superman and Lois, the old Superman or whatever. So basically what you wind up with at the end of the comic, from what I was able to gather, because it was confusing as shit, is John, Superman and Lois' son John is fine.
Yeah.
He remembers everything. That Lois and that Superman now have an amalgam of memories from the New 52 universe versions and the original.
Because they're supposed to be around in this universe, that memory is carrying into their bodies that are there right now.
So now all of a sudden their memories are merged. So some of the original Superman's memories of life, in the New 52 universe, have mixed with the original Superman's memories from his own universe.
The one that died.
So it's interesting. So it's truly like an amalgam universe of New 52 and the new universe to combine.
That's crazy.
And apparently, from what I read, it helps anchor that universe. It helps make it more solid in the time stream.
Yeah.
Because apparently it wasn't quite. It was kind of rocky. It wasn't quite solidified. dimension was like malleable. You have weird shit happen.
But now because Superman's there, it anchors down.
I guess
the
yeah,
whole shit.
because he's like one of the anchors of reality or something. I don't know. It's
That's crazy.
interesting, but it's also really convoluted. Like I hate how these comic book companies do that shit. Marvel does it with Marvel's way of doing it is the Infinity Gauntlet or the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Because they're their biggest things that people are always seeking. Always.
Exactly. And they use like Doctor Doom recently, well I say recently, but within the past 10 years, maybe 5 years even. Doctor Doom, he got a hold of the gauntlet and recreated the universe. And that's a good series to read. It's really kind of cool. But like they rebooted the universe. Mr. Fantastic basically got a hold of it and rebuilt reality completely. And it's really kind of funky. He used Franklin Richards' powers too, because Franklin can affect, on a cosmic level, all of reality.
Right.
So you have Marvel rebooting the whole universe based on the way Mr. Fantastic and his son think it could have been or should have been. So you have a new Marvel universe that's kind of flawed in a weird way.
So it's a pocket universe of just what they wanted.
It's Earth 616 now. All these comics that are appearing there are in this universe.
That's crazy.
So and what they do is they recreated the multiverse. Remember that was all happening. The Beyonders had destroyed all the multiverse.
Yep.
And they crashing together. Mm-hmm. Well, Doom got the gauntlet, and he saved a small part of a bunch of different universes. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a battle world from the original Secret Wars.
Yeah.
But it's comprised of shit from everywhere. And he's like, the Thor Corps, which are like, Thor, it's like hundreds of Thors.
Yeah.
All with the power of Thor. They're all different. There's male, female, And there's like fucking, and they literally have been in existence for like thousands of years at that point, even though technically only months have passed since the Gauntlet and the, Fall of Reality. And that was the end of that universe is when Thor and Hyperion died a warrior's death together, fighting the Beyonders. Like they managed to kill a Beyonder, and then hundreds of them came through this portal, and they killed.
And it's like there's no way.
Yeah, but they managed to kill like a couple more before they were overwhelmed. Which I thought was kind of cool.
That's pretty neat.
But I always liked Hyperion, and I mean I know he's a Superman pastiche, but he's still really kind of a cool character.
He's neat.
Yeah, he's different. He's basically an Eternal. Yeah, so like Doom recreated the Marvel universe slightly by doing that. And the thing is like, there's these images of Franklin Richards and Reed Richards like shooting alternate dimensions off or multiverse things. I guess something. It's really weird. It's been a while since I've read the comic, but it's kind of funky in a weird way. I mean, but my question is, of course, like now that they've done this, is the multiverse really going to be unique? Or is it all based on what they think it should be?
Well, that's
their
thing.
Ideas?
It happened, and then the Fantastic Four kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it got canceled.
Like it just straight disappeared because Secret Empire happened after a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they didn't say that was necessarily like. They didn't specify if that was 616 yet because it was kind of odd that Cap was Hydra.
Yeah.
And then they confirmed that it was, and the only reason it ever happened was because of the Red Skull getting the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
So that whole event wasn't a spin-off universe. It was after this whole Franklin and Reed making their perfect universe in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like, that happens, and then it goes back to what they thought the Earth was like. Secret Empire happens because Skull fucked around with what was her name? I think it was Kovic, who was the embodiment of the Cosmic Cube. They basically went along the idea of all the stones are sentient.
Yes.
And when it's in the cube, the actual being is a little girl by the name of Kovic. That if you were trapped in that cube, you would probably interact with her at some point.
Huh.
So, Red Skull did that, but he got himself trapped in the cube, along with classic Steve Rogers. So they were both in there, basically their own hell.
Yeah.
And that was the whole catalyst for that whole event. And then by the end of it, Ant-Man and Winter Soldier go inside the cube and break it. They shatter it.
Yeah, they bust him out.
And Cap pops out, classic Cap, and beats the shit out of Hydra Cap because he has no power with the Cube God. And
but this is before Classic Cap got reduced to being old again.
well, he was old at the time. Like Classic Cap was old as hell inside of the Cosmic Cube. Like he had beard and he was like gray hair and shit. And he busts out and he's like how he was when he got trapped in there. So he's like maybe mid-40s as far as age process goes. I mean, he might be in his hundreds, but like.
Well, he's not the old Cap you see in like Old Man Logan.
I don't know.
Old Man Logan, he's like looks like he's like 70.
He might be that one. I'm not too sure, but I know he jumps out wearing the classic armor, and so it's not really obvious how old his physical body is. But I know they showed him beat the shit out of Hydra Cap, and then they decide to imprison Hydra Cap until they can figure out what to do, because it's like
He's still Steve Rogers.
exactly, and they're not too sure if whether or not this is the Steve Rogers that belongs in this reality, or if the one that's here belongs in this reality, because there's two of them, and you can't really say if this one was pulled out of the timeline or this was pulled out of the timeline, and they broke the Cosmic Cube, so it's like
That's fucked up.
it's all fucked up.
Hey, this is Paul Ritchie, and you're listening to Don't Feed After Midnight. But the rules don't apply to me. Feed me anytime.
This is it. We're going in after Zaxxon, the most powerful force in space. It's gonna try to blow us away. Close. Gotta stay low.
Zaxxon, the three-dimensional arcade sensation, is now a home video sensation.
Now to evade those enemy fighters and go face to face with Zaxxon itself. No one has ever gotten this far before. Attack!
Play Zaxxon on your ColecoVision, Atari VCS, or in television video game system. Zaxxon, it'll blow you away.
But I got theories on what caused, like, not the more I think about it, I got theories on what caused Old Man Logan.
Because Old Man Logan's funky, right?
Old Man Logan is really funky from the beginning until now. It's all over the place.
Because, like, I mean, the universe, the Logan that existed in the Earth 616 universe is dead, theoretically. Like, he died.
Yes,
He got covered in adamantium and died. Like, there was a shell.
the one that belongs in this universe, in the Prime Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yes,
But that shell is now empty. His body's missing.
yeah, gone.
His daughter X-23 has now become Wolverine, or the Wolverine.
Yeah, like she's the official X-Men's
Yeah.
Wolverine.
But the problem is his body is gone now. And
Yeah.
there's rumors that he's popped up in Madripoor and like he's been seen here and there.
Well,
In some of the comics, like they said that in one of the comics, they said, well, you know, there's a younger version running around
yeah,
that is that the original Logan or something like that. And
Yeah.
so, because Old Man Logan was like, I don't know about that, Bob. I ain't smelled him.
right.
You know. But,
Well, there's like two events going on, or at least one event going on side by side Logan, and it's called like the Hunt for Logan, and I forget what it like entails, but I'm pretty sure it's playing off the idea that X-23 is the one that's put in charge of finding this younger Logan that kind of disappeared.
yeah.
It's an interesting idea, but like.
'Cause, well, unlike Deadpool, he can't regenerate from like a cell.
Well,
Right?
he can regenerate on a mass scale, but I think it would just take a lot longer. I think because they've had moments where Logan was literally down to nothing but his skeleton.
Yeah.
He literally has no flesh, no meat on him at all. It's just bone. And then he grew back. But it took like fucking forever. Deadpool would grow that shit back in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Logan, it'd probably take a week or so to be fully grown. God, I don't even want to think about how gross that process would be to see in a comic.
Oh, God, yeah.
But if you follow Logan's trail, the Old Man Logan, like, he starts in the wasteland after he kills all the X-Men, and then he kills all the Avengers, and then he finds out Mysterio tricked him the whole time because the Red Skull gathered all the villains, and they did all this shit to take over the world all at the same time. It was a perfect plan. Like, that happens, he goes through the shit where, like, the Hulks, like, kill his family, and then he goes back and kills all the Hulks, and like he takes the Hulk baby, and then some kind of cosmic event happens, and he disappears out of his timeline. And there's not really an explanation as to why. And then he ends up in the regular universe, and
And
he's
there's no explanation for that either, right?
no, he's like he's in space with Alpha Flight, and like the symbiotes are invading the shit or something.
Yeah.
And him and Puck take out all these creatures. Or wait, no, it wasn't the symbiotes. It was the
Brood? No.
yes,
Was it
yes,
the Brood?
it was. And
Yeah.
they take all of them out, and then Phoenix shows up,
Oh.
and she's like evil and shit. And he comes up and talks to her, and then she like touches him, and she remembers everything, and she even remembers the life that he remembers, where he killed everybody. She sees it through him, and I think there was a moment where she's like, "You don't really belong here, do you?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I just want to go back to the boy, because I left him here, or I left him there. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but I did. And then he gets back to Earth, and he's doing his thing. And then I think he went to Doctor Strange or somebody. He went to some kind of magic dude
Yeah.
and got put back into that universe briefly. And he ran back into the Hulk baby, and he was a full-grown dude,
And crazy as
and he
shit.
was running the wasteland.
Yeah. Because he was the only Hulk left.
Yeah,
Because Wolverine had killed the rest of them.
yeah. And then he fucking goes back into the regular universe, because the time basically expired on the spell. And there was a really weird moment where like the Hulk children that were like from that fucked up universe
Yeah.
ended up in like Madripoor as regular old dudes. And they looked up at him, and then he looked at them, and he was like, "You look like a bunch of hillbilly fucks I killed in my past life. Like, what the?"
Yeah.
And they looked at him, and they were like, "Yeah, bitch. Like, we're back to kill you this
And
time."
they turned back into Hulks.
And it was really weird. Like it was like they came through the timeline somehow. And then I started thinking about it. What could have caused all this?
Yeah.
The Red Skull fucking with shit with the Cosmic
That's
Cube.
true.
And then them shattering the Cosmic Cube. Or maybe this is in a timeline where the Infinity Stones got jumbled around, and we haven't seen that event yet.
That's true.
Because all it takes is one little, event. Somebody gets the stones and makes their choice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's interesting in the comics that Adam Warlock took the stones because he was so emotionally neutered
Yeah.
that he would not make emotional choices and fuck the universe up. Like if he
Right.
changed something, it would be the logical choice. By the numbers, it made sense.
Exactly. I mean, he's inherently good
Yeah. Which
when
helps.
he first comes in.
Yeah.
Like he's true neutral, which means he's not going to make an evil choice. So
Yeah.
obviously there's not going to be anything bad coming from what he does.
Exactly.
But
Well, not intentionally anyway.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But that's
But it's weird, and I mean recently his the Old Man Logan issues have been more personal. Like Craven hunted him down.
That sounded sweet. I gotta read this shit.
It was-
Craven capturing him, dropping him in the fucking
Savage
savage land, and then hunting his ass. That's cool as shit.
Meanwhile, like prehistoric beasts are like hunting them.
No, it's cool. And Old Man Logan is using his healing factor is shitty, so he's using a drug, right?
Well, yeah, he went to Madripoor to fight a Silver Samurai,
Yeah.
and he got his right arm cut off.
Yeah.
And when it got cut off, he was like, "Whoa, shit!" So, and
Yeah.
they at the time, Silver Samurai was developing this drug that simulates Logan's healing effect called Regenix. The thing is, it's basically like Iron Man 3, the movie,
Yeah.
the Extremis. It's
Yeah.
basically that.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're not strong enough to take it, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So like Logan's like, well, I'm strong enough to take anything, so fucking give me that shit. He takes it, and his arm grows back bone instead of adamantium.
Well, yeah.
So he's got like a full adamantium skeleton, but he's got this bone arm now, and he's got the bone claws back. So he's got one of each, and it's badass. But
That's cool.
he got diagnosed by like 2 different doctors and one mystical dude, like the adamantium is finally starting to poison his entire system.
Yeah.
And the Regenix he's been taking is only making it worse. And he's only got a matter of days, weeks, whatever it is, and he's gonna die. And they don't have, there's nothing like, in the most recent issue, the mystical dude that diagnosed him said to him something. He was like, science did this to you.
Yeah.
And science dug that hole deeper. Like, it made it
Yeah,
worse.
oh, totally.
Like, you know, you had the adamantium put in you. That was already going to put you on a course to die like 100, 200 years from now.
Yeah.
But now you got the added effect of what you're taking. And that's killing you just as fast, if not faster. So you got two things killing you right now. So they're saying he's going to die. So he's kind of just taking everything easy. But I have this weird feeling that what they're going to do is they're almost going to like transplant his body. You know, if that makes
That's
sense.
what I'm saying. I think old man Logan's gonna die and young Logan's gonna reappear. Because you're the theory that they both can't exist in the same.
Yeah, I got a Back to the Future theory.
Yeah.
Like, they just, if one's there, the other's going to fade. And it's going to fuck shit up.
That's kind of weird. Because in the comic now, like Daredevil said, you know, either somebody took Logan's body, or he was never in that statue in the first place, or he just got up and walked away. So
Well, the statue's still there.
yeah. So
Wait a minute. I think I remember that from Logan.
Yeah.
When he pops back in the second time into the timeline. Because Cap is there, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
exactly, yeah. And this is the weird, because you know Cap's like, you can't be our Logan. Our Logan's dead.
Yeah.
And he takes him to the grave.
Dude, it's been
and shows
forever
him.
since I read that issue. Oh, that was so cool.
So it's interesting because like that basically means that Logan's probably still alive, or what it honestly means is that the editors of Marvel have not figured out what the fuck they're gonna do right now.
Right, it's kind of all over the place.
They're milking the old man Logan for as long as they can, and when people get sick of it, they're gonna kill him off
And bring back
bring
young
back-
Logan. Yeah, I can see it. Old Man Logan is just such a success though for them. It's really been their go-to single character story for the past like 3-4 years.
I like old man Logan. It's kind of cool.
He's actually like neat. Like it's weird because he's like Batman but without the brains.
exactly. Oh yeah.
Like he's just brutal, straight to the point with everybody. He wants to be alone. Like he just is that.
Pretty sweet. I like the idea.
Yeah. And now they got the Infinity Countdown event led into Infinity Wars, and that's coming out of all new, all different Marvel, which a lot of people give shit because it started off very poorly.
Yeah.
It really just had a bad
Those
start.
are really bad.
Like the writing was shit. The directions they were taking certain characters was shit. The only ones that they really got right were the Guardians, and everybody else they just kind of fucked up.
Really?
Which is weird. Like, I mean, all new, all different is when they started doing things like Jane as Thor and shit.
That was dumb as
so,
shit.
So people are upset. I mean,
it was an interesting.
I like the idea of it,
They could have done it for like 3 or 4 episodes and called it a day.
but I think probably the coolest thing that they were pushing for with her as Thor was the fact that, like, the biggest part of her character is she's gonna die, and we all know
Yeah.
she's gonna die.
yeah.
But this ability to be Thor, while Thor is not worthy, it gives her extra time. So like Thor's over here not worthy of shit, had to, build his own weapon in the meantime, and Jane's over here as Thor taking up the role of Earth's protector,
Huh.
which it is neat, but it just didn't resonate with people.
No, I read a few issues and I was like,
But this Infinity Countdown, like it's really neat because it plays on so many different ideas because of all the universal resets. Like
yeah.
like Galactus isn't the the world eater. He's the life bringer
Yeah,
or
he's
some
gold
shit.
now and shit.
And then Ultron has the Soul Stone,
Yeah, that's fucked up.
and
The
he
show-
kills Magus, but
Yeah.
but then Adam's there too.
And Adam and the Silver Surfer try to get the stone back from. I don't know if they succeed or not.
They did. Adam got it because he had he basically paid Galactus a life debt to go and eat the world that Ultron was on, so he could get the Soul Stone, and then he did it, and then meanwhile, like Gamora from the previous universe, like the previous timeline before All New All Different started, her soul is trapped in the stone.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and All New All Different is like, there's a piece of me from the past that's like in there, and I'm gonna go get it.
That's fucked up.
And the Guardians had this whole war for like the Power Stone, and then they finally get it, and then Drax shoves it in his sax, and he just has a power sax now, and he just like he blares the saxophone and just explodes everything around him. Like,
That's cool as shit.
but it really it's gotten to a point now where Doctor Strange has the time. Adam's got the soul, and who is it? I think. Oh yeah, Gamora stole the Power Stone from Star-Lord.
Yeah, she killed him, didn't she?
No, she tricked him big time, and then she abandoned him. But she went around and found Thanos, and then decapitated him.
That's what she killed.
Straight killed Thanos.
Wasn't there something where she was like, everything dies, or death isn't always permanent, Peter, and then she killed him? Remember? You told me about that. You was like, because Peter was like, you're not going to kill me. I'm not going to let you take this, but you're not going to kill me. I know better than that.
She stabbed right through him.
Yeah, she stabbed him.
I forgot about that. Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
she was like, nothing. Death isn't permanent, Peter.
Well, yeah, he said that. He was like, I'm not gonna let you do this, and you're not gonna kill me. So
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, death is, it's just a concept that you made up. Like, she's basically seeing it in like an infinity way, where no matter what, she'll be with him at some point, and she just straight stabs and kills him on the spot. This like 2-bit thug has the Mind Stone, and it's because he found a scroll battle with the Hand over the Mind Stone, because the Hand had it and the Skrulls wanted it.
Yeah.
And he's just driving down the street, and he runs over a Skrull, jumps out, grabs the Mind Stone off the ground, jumps back in, sticks it on his pimp cane, and Daredevil came after him at one point, and it was interesting because like Daredevil sneaks around and shit, and he can hear people's shit like that. Like, this guy just got the Mind Stone. He can hear people's thoughts and shit too. So it's like he almost is like aligned with Daredevil's ability. It's really weird. Like, he knows where people are gonna be and when they are gonna be, because he can see their mind essentially. And Daredevil goes up to like get up to him, and then he starts talking to Daredevil. He's like, "Don't you do it." Like, and Daredevil's like, "Oh." And
that's awesome.
And then Doctor Strange went after the dude and was like, "Look, you need to give up that stone. I'm not going to be the one to take it, but that's too much power for you." And the guy's like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you in on one thing. I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
And he had these people up on this office building ready to jump. He was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm gonna keep this stone, and these people are gonna drop if you try to take it from me."
Oh.
And then Doctor Strange is like, "No, dude, you don't understand. Like, I'm trying to assemble the Infinity Watch so Thanos doesn't come and get this thing."
Yeah.
And,
destroy the Earth in the process, or half of it.
Right. And then he's like, "Yeah, then people are gonna jump now." And Doctor Strange like sends out like a few spells, saves a couple of them, sends the cloak to catch one of them, and then he goes up. He has the cloak come back, and he like jumps into it. It was sweet, and then he flies up and catches somebody, and then by the time he turns around, that dude's gone. So he's like, "Well, shit."
Yeah.
But then he casts a spell through the Time Stone to reach out to all the stone wielders. So he basically summons the Infinity Watch via the Time Stone to Central Park. So you got this 2-bit thug with the Mind Stone shows up. I think he had like Bullseye with him and another, just a thug, as security. Adam Warlock and Drax and Kang show up with the Soul Stone. Doctor Strange is there, obviously. Then you got Black Widow, she's not really there with the Space Stone. She's like floating in a pocket through space. It's really weird. Like, it's almost like she's using the Space Stone to just be in the air around the area, because she's literally just witnessing the atmosphere. It's really weird. And then Bullseye's like, bullshit, she ain't here. And then he like raises he's like, if she's here, then she'll shoot this right now. And he raises a card, and it just right through. He's like, oh, she's here. And then Captain Marvel shows up with the reality gem, and Doctor Strange is talking to him all about how like Thanos is gonna come soon, and he can feel it and whatever. At the same time, Gamora's killing Thanos with like her sword. She has the Power Stone, and she just decapitates him on the spot. And he's like, yeah, this death's suitable for me. You know, I'm happy with this. And then he just dies. It's crazy, and it's the same Thanos from the Thanos comic that came out last year and ran year round. The one that was like super brutal and bent on recreating his Infinity Gauntlet days. And yeah, she just kills him with one blow. It's crazy. All because she had the Power Stone. She shows up to Central Park, and Star-Lord, Groot, Rocket, like all the Guardians are there. She shows up looking like a badass, like, and you don't even really know it's her, 'cause she's got like a hood on and shit. And then Star-Lord steps up. He's like, wait, what are you doing? Yeah. And then she comes up and tells him she's not going to let him get in the way of what she's got to do. She knows her mission and this and that. Literally like Thanos' sentiment from Infinity War.
That's true, yeah.
And he's like, you're not going to kill me. I'm just going to stand in your way forever until you start doing things the right way. And she just like, she stabs him like right through the chest, and she's like, death is just a construct. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do to get this done, because I know my mission is right.
Yeah.
And he's just fucking dead. Like, just like that. She kills her boyfriend. And then, yeah, it kind of leaves this cliffhanger on, like, her being amongst all of them with the stones, which is really fucking crazy. It makes me wonder what's going to happen. I feel like Kang is going to start doing some crazy shit. Yeah. And I feel like Doctor Strange is going to do a lot of crazy shit, but they just kind of left in a really strange spot, pun intended, where there's a lot of different directions it could go. But, I mean, as of right now, she has the Power Stone, and she's surrounded by all the rest of the stones, so if they use the shit right, she ain't gonna be able to do anything. But knowing the comics, she's gonna do that shit like a master, and they ain't gonna be able to do anything against her, so...
Yeah, exactly. She'll get at least one more of the stones, or maybe she'll get the...
She might get, like...
She gets the Mind Stone.
She might get the Mind Stone and fuck shit up, because that dude's just a 2-bit thug. There's nothing special about him besides the fact that he has the stone.
Exactly. He's kind of stupid.
Yeah. I mean, and he thinks he can outsmart people and shit, but it's just because he has the stone. Like, he tried to mind control Strange, and Strange was like, yeah, if you do that again, I'm going to go back in time and rip your head off. Like, he was like, don't you try to mind control me, dude. And, it's a crazy little series. And, it's probably my favorite thing besides Logan right now in Marvel. After Secret Empire, I haven't had much that I've really been crazy about with Marvel Comics, but Logan has stayed steady, and this new series got me interested in something outside of my usual. So, yeah, Marvel's it's a different place than DC is, because DC is, they're in their comics, they're way more well established. Like, there is individual character universes going on here that are defined. Yeah. And then they're like, Superman is really the only one that has like a what the hell is going on kind of deal.
It's true. The rest of them have kind of got...
Batman is like very linear, like right now.
That's just weird too.
It's crazy.
The fucking I'm gonna marry Catwoman. Oh wait,
she bailed.
And she
just bailed. She said, "Fuck that."
That would have been fucked up anyway. You know, it would have been not fun. Bruce being a bachelor is kind of part of the fun. You know.
Right. I mean, I mean, I always see Bruce as a billionaire playboy, just like Iron Man. You know. So when he's settled down with somebody, it just takes away that aspect of him as a character. But now, because he's lost his wedding, his future.
Yeah.
He's just gone off the rocker and like beat the shit out of Mr. Freeze. And then Mr. Freeze confessed to some shit that was a lie because Batman beat him so bad. Like
Yeah,
he
he was
just made up a
terrified.
lie to get him to stop.
Yeah.
And now Bruce like paid his way to get onto a jury to defend Freeze, basically. Like to give them all his reason why he thinks Freeze should be let go. Because they were gonna throw him in jail for the rest of his life. And Bruce is there, he's like, nah, maybe Batman's wrong on this.
Yeah, and the whole issue is really interesting. It's all basically him trying to say that Batman's wrong. He got it wrong. And
He's playing devil's advocate against himself. It's really
But the thing is,
crazy.
I don't get it. Is he playing it against himself, or is it against Dick? Was Dick the Batman that did it? You know,
I think that's a
because
possibility.
Nightwing stepped in for him right now. Nightwing is
Well, he was for a time because Bruce was kind of taking the back seat on the whole Batman thing while he was getting ready for the wedding.
yeah.
But I also think it could just be Bruce because Nightwing also has his whole run of comics, and it's not as prevalent as Bruce's or Batman's run, but it's still there. So like technically, he still is Nightwing.
Yeah.
He stepped in for like an issue or two as Batman, but I don't think that carried on into this. But it's crazy, like knowing that if it is Bruce, like just that devastation of I'm not getting married to the girl I love
Yeah, and all this shit
made
went
him
down.
go off the rocker like that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, for however many decades and decades Batman's been around in the comics world, period, like, ever since he was first created, every time Catwoman showed up, it was always, like, a love interest kind of deal where she's, like, you know, she's this cute, foxy chick that, like, he can go after, but she's a criminal, so he stays away. This is like the first time they even like did something remotely close to this where they can be like a real couple. Like she was living at Wayne Manor for a long time, and it's like that's a whole new step that we've never seen anyway.
Yeah.
But then the second she leaves, he's just like, all right, time to beat the shit out of some people, get my rage boners out. Like he just went nuts. But I'm not sure where they're gonna go from here because I feel like they're waiting for like the Flash shit to catch up, or maybe Wonder Woman shit to catch up so they can do an event. Because it's been, I mean, besides Dark Knight's Metal, which isn't even really a event within the main Earth.
Yeah, that's alternate universe shit. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's yeah.
I mean, all of reality gets fucked.
Yeah, I don't think Dark Knight's Metal is in. If it is in the real universe, it's way in the future. Like, it's got to be years and years past what we're doing right now in Rebirth. Because there's just no good explanation for how any of this could happen in the real universe. DC events don't happen like Dark Knight's Metal. That's such a spin-off type series. that
Yeah.
You just can't say that that's the same universe. Especially with all the different, like, there's the dark multiverse that they introduced in that as a concept. Like, it's literally just an entire multiverse of Batman that fucked up and became evil. Like, that's all it is. It's like there's the Green Lantern Batman, the Aquaman Batman, the Joker Batman, the Superman, the Doomsday, like all these Batmans that basically became his peers, but as a villain. Like he became Ares at one point. That shit was crazy.
That's insane.
He merged with Flash. That shit was crazy. He built a Batmobile fast enough to travel through Speed Force, and like it thrives off of Speed Force energy.
Oh.
And he ran over the Flash.
And
it, like, because of the amount of Speed Force energy going on, it merged their bodies. So he became the Flash, and Barry's like consciousness is like suppressed under Bruce's personality.
Oh.
So Bruce is like evil and shit, but like in the background, Barry's just like, no, don't do it, stop.
That's
Like
fucking crazy.
it's nuts. And then there's the Cyborg one, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
all fucked up
Oh,
because
yeah.
because Alfred died in that universe and he wanted to recreate him. Cyborg was like, nah, dude, we can't do this. It's not really him. It's gonna fuck up. And then he's like, nah, we're gonna do it. You shut up, bitch. And then, like, he fights Cyborg and then he, like, beats him. And then Alfred just starts multiplying like crazy, which was fucking nuts. Like, he built, like, an actual robot and then through Cyborg's tech, it just started, like, reanimating itself over and over and over again. So you got, like, infinite Alfreds just clearing out this world, like, town by town, killing everybody.
That's insane.
But
That's
like,
so fucking insane.
But like, there's no way that's possibly tied to real universe DC.
Yeah, it's crazy shit.
But it's fun.
The thing that bugs me about some of it, I mean, like, there's certain comics I can read that are fun, like Thor, Spider-Man. I mean, they're not going to kill them off.
Right.
But the villain has a chance of beating the fuck out of them by the end of the issue and getting away.
Yep.
Whereas with Superman, it's very rarely
You're not going to
possible.
see it happen.
So I don't really read the Superman comics specifically because it's just not as interesting. When Superman died, I remember when I bought those comics. I still have them all, you know.
It's interesting to see the guy that never lose once in a while, you know.
Yeah.
Like, he literally couldn't lose against 90% of his villains.
But he didn't die like he did in the Batman v Superman. Okay, like...
No, it was different.
In the Darkseid, in the Doomsday comics, when he died, like, he literally, they beat each other to death.
Yeah, it was just a brutal fight.
Yeah. And he died because he didn't have any energy left. He went into a coma, basically, is what they explained.
I like what they did as a concept in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Where he stabs him with the kryptonite.
Yeah.
And then that weakens both of them because he has it near him, so it's already weakening him. And then Doomsday, he just got his arm sliced off, so he turns that into a weapon and just like impales him. And because he's got the kryptonite in him, it's flowing through him, so he's like feeding kryptonite into Superman after he stabs him. And I like that as a concept, but it's also just cool the old-fashioned way of just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
they were punching each other so hard that the buildings, that the windows are shattering for miles around and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool in parts where, when they were fighting, they took it to a part of the city where no one lived.
Yeah.
They took it to Gotham and the factory district where no one is. So, like, the destruction was very, like, it wasn't, I wouldn't say minimal because he did push him into, like, that big ass gas.
Yeah, it was
blew up. And that was pretty damn massive, but
that's the other thing we were talking about the other day. Mike and I were driving, and we discussed where the fuck is Gotham versus Metropolis in the DC movie universe? Because, like,
it's weird.
In the Batman v Superman shoves Zod through Wayne Enterprise building. So are they in fucking...
Right, that's Metropolis.
That's Metropolis.
And Wayne Enterprises is there.
Why is it there instead of being in Gotham?
And if it's there, is there a Wayne Tower also in Gotham?
Exactly.
But they're right across the water from each other. So does Wayne really need two towers across the water like that close?
And in the comics, they were always the difference between like New York and fucking like Washington D.C. or something. Like New York City is basically Metropolis in the DC universe, and Gotham was like states away. It wasn't that close. It was like a 5-minute.
It wasn't
flight.
A lake difference. It
No.
was like definitely some big mileage, but
and it's just kind of fucked up.
They just kind of look across the water and they're like, "Hey, there's Gotham."
I don't understand.
It just kind of erases a lot of the thought of Batman's villains, because if Superman is that close to Gotham, none of the Batman villains would ever be able to rise up.
No.
Ever. Because he literally would hear them and be across that water in 5 seconds. He would literally be able to just be there. Just like he did in the movie. He was up in fucking space.
Oh, yeah.
And was back down to Gotham in like 10 seconds. Like, there's no good reason for that. Like, Superman would just do it. No question. Unless he's dead. But he really wasn't. So it's like, the Joker wouldn't exist. The Penguin wouldn't exist. The Riddler, no one would exist in that universe.
First time the Joker took a hostage, Superman would have taken him out.
It would have been done.
Yeah.
Real quick. It would have just been like the beginning of Batman vs Superman when he was in Africa, and
Yeah,
that dude
right.
had Lois, and he just took his
It's
ass
so
away.
freaking funny.
But it's weird the topography of it. It's like because in the comics there's Gotham, Metropolis, Midway City, and Central City. But then there's like real cities like Detroit and
Yeah.
Chicago and all these real places that actually exist in there. So like New York doesn't exist. It's just Metropolis. But like Detroit exists, Chicago exists, all these other cities. But then there's no definitive map
Yeah.
of Gotham, Midway, Central, like
I know, like, Coast City's supposed to be like L.A., right?
something
Isn't that
like
where
that.
isn't that where Green Lantern is?
I think so.
Coastal City? 'Cause that's when they got nuked in the original Prime universe.
I think so. I think it's supposed to be
Cyborg
LA.
Superman blew it up. Or something.
That's
Is
crazy.
he the one that did it? Yeah. And he got wiped out. And like that's when like Green Lantern's like wife died.
Oh.
You know, or his girlfriend or whatever. You know, these characters always have girlfriends that they string along for hundreds of years. You know, so
But yeah, it's just they need to make a. I feel like they need to put out a book. Like DC needs to like gather up all their artists and whatever, and just be like, look, you guys need to come up with a countrywide map
yeah,
with the key points listed, and then the maps of those cities, so we know this is how the city is supposed to be laid out. So you don't question as a fan, why the fuck is this close to that? Why is Gotham shaped like this when
Exactly.
it's supposed to be here? Like, because there's parts where, like, even in the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, most of it was shot in Chicago, but once you get to Dark Knight Rises, you start to realize, because they show a lot more of the city in that movie, like as far
Yeah,
as
oh yeah,
on an
big
outside
time.
view. So you see the bridges, because it's not supposed to be Chicago, it's supposed to be New York. As weird as that is. And so you just get left questioning, if it's New York, then why is it, where's Metropolis fit into that? Like, it just doesn't add up.
it doesn't. It's and the thing is like it might seem like we're splitting hairs here, ladies and gentlemen, but you know, honestly, the fact is like for future writers, you know, if you're writing a like a story about Batman and he gets to go to Metropolis, or a story about Superman, or you know, any sort of like crossover between the two, it helps a writer to know where exactly they are. Just not just to say, okay, well, it took them an hour to get here or 20 minutes to get here, whatever. It's just like, you know, it
Even little things like landmarks, like Ace
Exactly.
Chemicals, where is that within Gotham? Is that in the factory district or is that downtown? Like why is there sections of the city where you don't know how close it is to the other sections? Because the shots are so boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, and you think all of this stuff is right on top of each other. And it's not supposed
and
to.
it helps for people making movies, people drawing the comics, people writing the comics.
Because it's just unnecessary confusion.
Exactly. I mean, but they, you know, I guess, I mean, the Marvel universe, they generally, Marvel will, they'll use New York. Like,
Right.
Spider-Man is in New York. And I'm kind of surprised DC hasn't just kind of like also thrown New York in there and had like Metropolis near it.
Right. It could just be a city that's near it that doesn't exist really in our world, but it's there off the side of it or something. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they did something like that. And it wouldn't even be the worst decision as long as they differentiated them. But there's no differentiation right now. It's like Gotham looks identical to Metropolis 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, they don't, unless they make it purposely dark. Like in the old comic books and stuff, they would, they'd make it dark.
Yeah.
You know, and twisted and like, you know, raining all the time, you know. There was a really fun comic book, sorry. There's an old comic, Spawn versus Batman, or Spawn, not versus Batman, Batman and Spawn, basically. And they described Gotham as being in the center of, like a pentacle or whatever, pentagram, whatever. There was, like, basically a demon buried underneath Gotham or something like that. That was the general story. And that's why Gotham is always so dark and so
Right,
twisted.
it was like cursed
Because
from
it's
ancient
cursed, and
shit.
the ground itself is fucking cursed.
That's crazy.
You know, it's really kind of cool in a way.
Uh-huh.
and it explains a lot. I mean, they seem to cover it off and on, I think, in different Batman comics. That there's an occult presence in Gotham, and they keep it dark specifically for that reason. Like, you know, it makes it easier for them to move around the criminal element. Because Batman handles a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But if he really took out the criminal element as quickly as he did, you know, or permanently as he did, then, like, no new ones would pop up. They'd be like, fuck this shit, I'm going somewhere else.
Right.
But they always come back there. They always, you know, it just permeates the landscape.
Well, they
there.
bring mention to it in that most recent Batman one where he's on the jury duty. He, like, specifically calls out Gotham. He's like, everybody knows, like, Gotham is a haunted ground. Like, it's, everybody knows if you go here, you're gonna experience the most vile things ever. And that's why we worship Batman, because he's the one pounding it to the ground every time it rises up. So they were like, you know, we all know as Gotham people, like, it's a fucked up town. Everything is bad. The villains are all here. But Batman is the only hope that we can see. So we cling to him. And it's like, you know, like the DC universe as a whole is aware that Gotham is a shithole.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and they mention it in other comics. They say, what is this, freaking Gotham?
yeah.
You know,
Because it's obviously the most crime-ridden
filthy city.
piece
around.
of shit city ever. Man, it's crazy.
That's insane. I like the I like some of the way the comics have gone. I like the directions they've gone. I don't follow DC enough, I think, to really, you know, weigh in and say this is really good or this is really bad. But I will say I don't like how DC has reset the universe so many times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Marvel does that shit too. They did that bullshit with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where they deleted Mary Jane, and we've talked about this
that's kind of
before.
annoying.
And people were fucking pissed. They got married in 1987 in the comics.
Yeah.
There's entire generations of kids that have grown up with them being married, and it's accepted. It's part of the character. It's part of the mythos. It's part of what drives him. You know, he definitely is not going to give up his identity because, oh shit, Mary Jane could get killed. You know, or somebody could kill, you know, Aunt May. You know. And
Like, one of the big problems that came with that was, like, Marvel writers started crediting that to be one of the main drivers to why people weren't buying comics in the 90s. They were like, Spider-Man was the biggest shit. He was the coolest shit. All of our childhood and all that. And then the 90s hit, and he's been married for all these years, and it just got boring. And they were like, kids stopped buying it, parents stopped buying it. Mm-hmm. And then, like, that started affecting all of the Marvel comics.
Yeah.
And, like, Infinity Gauntlet was probably the biggest thing to come out of the 90s for Marvel, honestly. You know?
Probably.
And everything else was just kind of overlooked or just trash. Like, some of them, the art styles are garbage. Some of them, the
God, we
writing
talked
is
about that before. There were some
terrible.
comics where, like, you look at it and you're like,
Painful.
why is Peter Rasputin's, you know, why is Colossus's right arm, why are his muscles thicker than his own waist? Like,
Right.
it makes,
Or like that one with Captain America where his chest is like 3 feet extended from his body.
yeah,
It's
they did a skeleton. Somebody did not line up it to make it look like his skeleton would have been like bulging and weird, you know.
like it looks like a massive tumor is growing on his chest.
Oh
like,
my God.
It's terrible.
I love that shit though. It's so funny to look
It's
at.
it's hilarious. But like that shit like that caused Marvel to sell all their rights. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it was cool when it came out, and then it wore out its welcome real quick, and you know, Marvel just gave up. Like back then, they didn't have the money to just hang on to shit like that. So then they passed it out to all the movie studios for like nickels and dimes too. Like the movie studios got that shit for nothing. Now where are we at? It's like every other movie is a Marvel movie, and it's crazy.
It is kind of nuts. I mean, they can't keep up DC. I mean, there's
It's not gonna happen.
no, they're not gonna. Their best bet.
Maybe in
honestly,
10 years. Maybe in 10 years.
Well-
They might get back on track in 10 years.
They need to do fun stuff. They need to, like we said, you know, go back, do some little guys.
And not Suicide Squad fun
no,
stuff.
no, like
Suicide
The
Squad
Quest-
would have been
like,
fun if they did it right.
Yeah, they could do like The Question. They could even do a Cheetah standalone movie
I
and
think
have
a
her be
Red
kind of
Hood
like an.
movie would be so much fun.
I would love a Cheetah movie and have her as an anti-hero,
Mm-hmm.
like a criminal that also like doesn't necessarily fucking give a damn about anything, but has a goal that puts her on kind of the side of good, like a shady kind of good side. So when she fights Wonder Woman in the Wonder Woman movie, you're like, well, I kind of want her to
I like
win.
both of them. Like, what do
Yeah,
I do?
yeah, but DC didn't think about that. They're just like, we'll put a comedian and we'll put you.
No, and then like, and you know, it might turn out nice. I'm not. I'm reserving judgment until the trailer, because Aquaman looks really good. I'm actually excited for it, but and Shazam looks funny, and I like the direction they went. I don't know if I like the guy yet,
I don't like the guy that
but
they have playing.
but I like the direction.
his head shape's wrong. He doesn't look like Shazam.
His neck is kind of off.
He looks like Topher fucking Grace, just older.
It's kind of he's kind of off. I'm gonna have to wait till I see the movie itself on that one because I like the trailer. I do. I just don't know about the guy, so I'm gonna have to wait for the movie.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
But Aquaman looks really good.
It does look, but I think a lot of that has to do with Jason Momoa. His presence, his actual presence, is amazing.
Black Manta looks great, and then they're bringing back the guy that played Night Owl in Watchmen as his brother, and he's gonna be like the main antagonist.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think overall it could be. I think that movie, like Wonder Woman, was like really, really good and got a lot of praise across the board. I feel like Aquaman could re-jump the hype for DC movies in a lot of ways because Justice League killed a lot of people's hopes. Like a lot of people's hopes. And Suicide Squad wasn't that great either. And, I like Man of Steel and I like Batman vs. Superman. And I like Wonder Woman. Everything else has been wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But like Aquaman and even Shazam look like they're in a different direction. Something fun. Something that's not typical, dark, crazy DC. But
I will say this: DC does do dark pretty good. Not always, but
they're dark tones. You don't see it in Marvel the same way.
exactly. They don't do like when they do it like they go over the top.
The
dark.
first scene of Batman versus Superman when Batman's like in that crack house and he's got that guy chained to the radiator and
He's
shit.
burning him.
And then like he's up in the corner and shit, like trying to hide from the cops. And then he flings through and then dips off. Like having like the Japanese like human trafficked like prisoners in that thing like freaking out about him, like that was dark shit. I want a full movie of shit like that.
Oh, like him out in the ceiling like that? That was amazing,
Well, like,
too. The way he crawled across the
Dude,
fucking
he was
ceiling.
like flinging around and shit.
That was wild.
But like just that whole the style of that whole scene where like the cops went to the prisoners and they were like, "The devil's here. Don't go up there. Like, what are you doing? Like, stay here, you dumbass." They were like, "We're gonna free you," and they're like, "No, close that shit." Like,
yeah.
like I want more of that kind of Batman, like a dark, scary, like he's almost like a demon to the criminals, like. And they said the next movie is gonna be like noir, like completely noir detective. So it's gonna be like classic 50s noir shit. So
I love that shit.
I hope it turns out to be as good as it sounds. I hope all goes well for all nerd things.
I know. I like it when they're in competition with each other for craziness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when they overreach and are really stupid.
Yeah, because they've done a lot of that.
DC in particular. Marvel has too.
No, they have.
You know.
It's Marvel's got about 3 or 4 big flops of movies, but there's 19, 20 movies now, so it's like, are you really complaining about 3 or 4 of them being bad? I mean, like,
I know. Well, that's the thing. Even the bad Marvel movies are still better
They're
than the
still-
DC ones.
I mean, seriously, the only one I'd probably say isn't is Thor 2, because that is just a travesty.
That was bad.
But
Some of that was Natalie Portman.
yeah, and some of it was just they fucked up everything about.
Because Hemsworth is a good
Everybody.
fucking actor. I mean, he is.
He is.
People like to say,
he,
"Oh,
did,
he's
he did fine. Loki did fine.
Yeah.
They were great. Sif was even good in that movie. But like, they killed off Frigga. They like Malekith didn't even realize what he was wielding when he had the ether, and it was just bad. Like it just didn't work.
No, it was really shitty. And the Dark Elves were like, I don't know. I don't get it, dude. It had potential, but like I said, it wasn't even necessarily the acting. But
No, Ragnarok was the best thing to happen to Thor.
And that was funny as shit.
It was.
Some
But
people were like, it's
but it was
too,
really good.
like it's too much comedy. No, I don't think so. I think it
I
was
think
exactly
it was on par with like Guardians comedy.
yeah, and I think it's what the Marvel Universe needed because they had a couple of movies that were really dark and kind of tragic, and they needed that shit, you know.
Yeah, because like Winter Soldier, dark movie. Iron Man 3 even, really fucking dark. Like people are like committing acts of terrorism and shit, and like Tony's watching people die for real. He's going through PTSD. Like all of them Phase 2 movies, really fucking dark. And then they jump into Phase 3 with like Ant-Man to start, and then Guardians 2, and then
Exactly.
like all these fun movies. Like this is the direction it should be going.
Exactly. The comic book wise, I don't know. I've been reading a lot of different ones. The Transformers comics. One of these days we'll do an issue on that, an episode on that, because it's fucking like they're doing a lot of shit, but they're about to purge that fucking universe.
Oh my god.
They have the Unicron event coming, and the way they're developing it, they're gonna basically flush that entire reality down the toilet and have it reboot. And I don't know how they're gonna do it, but IDW's like, you know, this shit's been leading up to it. You know, the story, but literally, like, they've been doing it for like a year now. They've been slowly
just a
trickling out
slow
the story.
creep of
Yeah,
the
it's
story.
great. It's very well done.
You think they'll restart with like Beast Wars shit?
Oh god, no. It's funny because in that comic book series, Unicron is the one. Like, there's an entire planet of Maximals out there that exist completely separate from Cybertron. They were like a colony world, and like basically all these Titans went off with a bunch of Cybertronians. They're all Metroplexes, basically, different versions of Metroplex. They all went off and started their own colonies separate from Cybertron. And then 4 million years went by, and then they're all reconnected or whatever. But like one of them adapted to animals, whatever. But in the comic book series, Unicron corrupts them. So, you know, you have Optimus Primal and, you know, that dinosaur Megatron fighting side by side, attacking Optimus Prime.
That's
which
crazy.
is freaking cool. It's interesting. It's well done. I like the art, and it's kind of cool. Although they drifted a little bit because they had some douchebag draw lips on everybody. Like all these fucking assholes. They did like a weird amalgam between the comic book versions of it and then the movie versions. Where all of a sudden everybody had like fingernails and teeth. And
They were that detailed?
yeah, and it was
Why?
stupid looking. But you know, those comics are pretty cool. Mike and I briefly touched on when we were driving. I had him look up. Oh God, there was Valiant Comics had put out a series,
Oh,
Bloodsport or something like that. I forget what it
Yeah,
was.
something like
But they
that.
were all knockoffs of Marvel comic book characters, and you know, like so there was a guy that looked like Wolverine, except it was just all armor. But he looked exactly like fucking Wolverine. And then there was another thing they put out called Supreme, which is basically just Superman, only he was like 60 and wore a different costume. It was really stupid. Bloodstrike. And I've got
painful.
Bloodstrike #1. I remember reading that in the comic book store going, oh my god, is that supposed to be Wolverine? Because if you look, you guys go out there, look up Bloodstrike on the internet, look at the images. You can pick out, okay, he's supposed to be Wolverine. Okay,
He's Angel.
He's supposed to be Angel. It's
He's
bad.
Beast. He's like it was obvious that they just ripped off of basic X-Men characters and then like G.I. Joe people. Like, it was really weird. Like they merged X-Men with G.I. Joe basically.
It's pretty bad.
It was painful.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. But if you guys, you know, really want to read some funky comics and stuff, it's fun to go back and delve into the old school stuff from the 70s. Read a few of those. Grab a series. You know, look at the old Captain Britons from the 1960s and 70s where, you know, Brian Braddock had a freaking quarterstaff, which is where he got his strength from Merlin. And then it turns out, you know, he doesn't need the staff anymore. And, you know, the modern day Captain Britain isn't as well known, but he's basically a magical Superman kind of character or whatever. You know, but you can go read those, and they're kind of cool because they've got Captain America in them and stuff like that. And, you know, they're written in, or produced for Britain. You know, there's a whole series of Transformers comics, for instance, that was only released in Great Britain, in the UK. So, Transformers UK has completely different storylines than the US Transformers comic books, and different characters, and different artists, and everything, because it was produced in England.
Right.
You know, and they say things like, oh, bully, you know, it's really weird, you know. Grimlock calls it, hello, chum. You know, it's not, it's different. But It's not bad. It's just different, you know. But it's fun to go back and look at those old comic book series and then do what like Mike and I were talking about in the 90s. Look at some of the 90s comic books. Pick up some at a flea market or, you know, a secondhand store and read them and look at how bad they are.
God awful.
Some of them are good. Some of the storylines are really kind of fun. Some
Yeah.
of them are really shitty.
Nobody likes you.
And they make no sense and they just stop abruptly. Like they flat up like episode like they make it to, you know, issue 16 and some big event's going to happen and then nothing.
Done.
Comic is canceled. So you're fucked.
Just like-
And back then you used to pay for subscriptions for years like you do now. So, and it's not like you get your money back. You know.
Right.
It was very, very different. It was a different time, I think. But you read through some of the 70s and 80s and 90s comics, you realize how lucky we are nowadays that there is a better editor out there, a better writer out there, a better artist out there that's actually taking time to do it right. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they lived through those shitty times.
Yeah.
And they were like, never again.
Right. Never.
Never again.
Can't do it.
You know. So I like that. But it's pretty fun.
Just to see, maybe get a good laugh.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you'll
No.
get a good laugh. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Oh no. You look at some of the covers and you're like,
That's
why?
hilarious.
Well, you know, why are Storm's breasts like triple E's, but her waist is like a -2?
That's not
Is
even
that physically possible? Yeah, but
She would just fall over.
she would. Like she just snap in half. Oh my God, Aurora, my boob. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. We're gonna see you on the flip side. Follow us at Don't Feed After Midnight on multiple platforms. We're on SoundCloud now. Every single episode is available on SoundCloud for download. Of course, on Twitter, at DFAN Podcast. We post on there a lot. And also on Instagram, and Don't Feed After Midnight. Take care. We'll see you on the flip side.
Peace.
Peace.